Part 10. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 91. Wen Feng did not come back with Mrs. Wen. Although the other hospital over there has taken action, there are still some things to be done. As soon as old Mrs. Wen arrived home, old Mrs. Wen sent a steward to ask questions, meaning that the selling price could not be higher than the buying price, so it would not be a waste for him. The old lady was too lazy to talk nonsense with the visitor, so she dismissed the matter on the grounds that the procedures had not been completed, but she knew that the matter was not over yet. He couldn't help but curse, "When a Zhang wanted to sell this house, I said I would take it over." This old man was not happy yet. It seems that the Song family and I were setting him up to deceive him. Can I use him for a tale of silver? Now there is a price difference between the sale and purchase. But he came to share the benefits. Why didn't he tell me how much he spent on maintenance over the years? I'm so. What's the point of regretting marrying him now that you're old? Xiaoji inquired about the news, listened when you, smiled and said nothing. There is news from Cai Luan Pavilion. You can go try on the clothes. They said it would take a long time and it would be better to do it in batches. Old Mrs. Wen took her eldest granddaughter-in-law and Wen Jiao directly, and asked Wen Yu to take Wen Wan and Wen Su later. This is exactly what Wen Yu meant. She was not idle either. She first met with Xiaoji's father and asked about the status of the property, and then took Yanzu, Xiaoji, and Xiangshu out. Go and see Lu Lanfang. Because they came directly to the door, although the servants of the Lu family did not dare to say anything, their expressions were not very good. Xiaoji offered a reward, then trotted all the way to report with a smile. After a while, the eldest lady of the Lu family came out. This Grandma Lu has just gotten married. She wears gold and silver and is very thickly smeared with pink. Looking at Wen Yu and then at Yanzu, not to mention the sour look on his face, "Hey, Miss Wen is here," she said with a warm smile, "Sister-in-law Lu. Oh, I came here without saying hello in advance. I'm so embarrassed. It's really, originally, I thought I could see a Fang at Tianlong Temple, but I didn't. I missed her. I'm out to do some work today, so I came to take a look and give her something. Thank you, Miss Wen, for thinking about it. My family doesn't have an apartment over there. I want to rent a house. Oh, it's very expensive these days. I secretly hate myself. Why are these two so good looking?" She had heard about it. The Wen and Lu families used to be close to each other. The guy in her family loved to see Miss Wen the most. Wen Yu nodded, "Isn't it? Those bad stores are taking advantage of the situation to rob them. Hey, where's a Fang? Mother-in-law is not at home. Oh, sister-in-law, I'm going to meet a Fang. Look, I'm giving her and my little brother some Buddhist bracelets that have been blessed. Come on, sister-in-law, get a few strings too, just to keep them safe." Xiaoji held two flat baskets in his hands and handed one to Grandma Lu. When she saw it, it wasn't just Buddha bracelets, she smiled more sincerely. "I'll call my sister over here. You guys can't talk for too long. My mother-in-law has strict family discipline. She'll tell me later." I know. Not long after, Lu Lanfang came. Wen Yu felt a pang in his heart when he saw her complexion. Lu Lanfang actually smiled. "Ayu, are you here?" "Yes, I didn't see you at Tianlong Temple. I'll give you and my little brother a few Buddha bracelets. May my little brother be safe and healthy." "Thank you very much." Wen Yu said, "Good sister-in-law, can I have a few private words with a Fang?" Grandma Lu glanced at Lu Lanfang. "Hey, you two girls, what can you say privately? What else can you say and what can't be done?" Wen Yu's smiling face also fell. Thinking of the many things she had just collected, sister-in-law Lu said, "But even if I open my mouth, how can I say anything to you, sister-in-law? Just don't let it last too long. Little sister, talk nicely and don't talk about useless things. She glanced at Lu Lanfang, picked up the basket, and turned around to go out. Fang, how are you doing, little brother? I'm very happy that you came to see me. Ordinarily I shouldn't spoil your fun. It's just, you know. Last time I went to your place alone. When I came back, I was beaten by my cousin. His head was so a big bag, he doesn't know how to cry, and he doesn't cry out in pain. He just hides in the corner of the bed. Even the little beggar on the roadside will throw half a corn tortilla. So cruel. She may have been holding it back and was talking all at once. Yanzu loves to be emotional the most, and she also cries along with her. Fang. When you was really angry and helpless. My eldest aunt went to Tianlong Temple, someone like her actually went to worship Buddha. Is there anything I can do for you? Lu Lanfang shook her head and looked at her with tender eyes. If you come to see me, I will be very happy. The two of them hadn't exchanged a few words before sister-in-law Lu came in. Seeing tears on Lu Lanfang's face, she was very angry and rattled the bell to vent her dissatisfaction. Lu Lanfang didn't want Wenyu to suffer this, so he quickly let her go. As soon as Wenyu went out, he met Mrs. Lu who was returning home. Mrs. Liu's face didn't look good when she saw Wenyu. Mrs. Lu, Wenyu smiled and stepped forward to salute. Hey, Miss Wen. What are you? She looked around. Who are you following? You know that when distinguished guests from the Wen family come to your door, I will wait at home. How rude. Wenyu smiled and covered his mouth with a handkerchief. Don't look for Mrs. Lu. Wenyu came out by herself, but she brought all the servants with her. Yanzu was followed next to her, followed by two girls, a driver and a middle-aged and elderly man. Oh, the Wen family is really a civilized family. Tisk tisk, the Lu family is not so good. Yes. My grandmother is really civilized. But Wenyu does have important matters, and she must deal with them herself. Mrs. Lu must not know it yet. My mother's dowry was left to my grandmother to take care of. She has property, you have to be a master. Huh. Ordinarily, Mrs. Lu, Lanfang should be like me. Miss Wen, every family has its own rules. You can't ask about this. Besides, the Lu family will never let an unmarried eldest girl run around. Well, the family rules are different. However, the law is unified in the world. The Lu family's second bedroom has been separated, and Lanfang's parents are gone. The property should be inherited by Lanfang's sister and brother. I was still giving Lanfang's family just now. Fang has an idea. What? Are you giving her advice? What does this have to do with you? Miss Wen, don't rely on your father to get promoted to have the right to meddle in other people's business. Mrs. Lu was anxious. Mrs. Lu, to tell you the truth, since my father was promoted, the wives of Magistrate Zhang have become much closer to the Wen family. When we go back to Tianlong Temple, brother Zhang Qing of the Zhang family said that he would come to visit my family often in the future. Where's the grandmother? Haha, so my father's power can indeed be borrowed from the family. Haha. Wenyu smiled proudly. Ha. You can't interfere in other people's private affairs. Do you really think that my Lu family is a vegetarian? Mrs. Lu is a bit strong on the outside but can be mean on the inside. Lu family. Hey, I have to say that Mr. Lu has not moved in the same place for so many years. He is really unlucky. Oh, look at me. How can you tell the truth? No, wrong again. Master Lu is not appreciating his talent. I also heard that my eldest brother is also planning to become an official. Mrs. Lu endured it for a long time and finally did not dare to curse. She was even more wary when she heard her mention her son. Mrs. Lu, I didn't see Lanfang at Tianlong Temple this time. Well, as you know, Our Zhangzhou territory is not big, and there are only so many decent families in Zhangzhou. If there is something going on, everyone knows about it. Yes. So, I came back after hearing some gossip. What do you like to hear? Mrs. Lu, I'm not here to spread gossip. I really think about you. I'm good friends with Lan Fang, and of course I don't want her uncle and aunt to lose their reputation. Don't you think so? Alas, those words really don't sound very nice. Say that you and Mr. Lu covet the second brother's property and abuse his children. Some people also said that they want to spread this matter to Mrs. Zhang's heirs, and ask Mr. Zhang to personally investigate through Mrs. Zhang. But in this case, whether there is such a thing or not, the future of the eldest brother of the Lu family will also be affected. Don't be careless. No matter what, I have to find a way to suppress these bad words. Your reputation is going to be ruined. Where are your 4 sons? How can they live here? How terrible! Do you think so? She rambled on for a long time, looking like she was really doing it for your own good. Mrs. Lu was so shocked and angry that she couldn't say anything. Being talked about like this, she felt guilty. Humph, she walked in with a flick of her sleeves and closed the door with a bang. End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 92. The next day, Wen Yu took Yanzu, followed by Xiangshu and Xiaoji, to Cai Luan Pavilion. Hong Xinger has been completely marginalized, and her face is getting gloomier day by day. But after all, she is a little girl, no one cheers her up, and she doesn't dare to do anything. Arrived at Kaoluan Pavilion, at the gate, Manager Lu stood next to a man. The man was in his 40s and should be a shopkeeper. He nodded and bowed in a standard manner and greeted Wen Yu with a salute. Manager Lu introduced, "This is the new shopkeeper, whose surname is Zhang." Wen Yu ignored him and asked Manager Lu directly, "Where is Master Cheng?" The shopkeeper said, "Miss Wen, Master Cheng has other arrangements today. He can't receive the lady at the moment." This. He pointed to a woman standing in the distance. "Master Wang, your skills are quite good. Do you think it's okay for her to handle the reception?" When you didn't even look at Master Wang, the selection of materials, measurements, and styles were all decided with Master Cheng. She also made an appointment with me. But he's not here. Normally, Wen Su is not as arrogant as Wen Xiao, but she is stronger than Wen Xiao on the inside. She sneered and said, "It's probably because Cai Luan Pavilion's business has grown so big that we don't like the Wen family as a customer." The shopkeeper Lu quickly waved his hand, "Don't dare, miss, if you say that, I will be scared to death. The Wen family is a big customer. There are so many people, dozens of sets of clothes can be made at one time. I heard about it when I came here, how can I dare to neglect it? It's just that Master Ching, she, is a little inconvenient. Something happens, and I feel inconvenient. Who are you fooling? We don't have to do it in Kaoluan Pavilion. Let your boss prepare the money, we want to return it." Wen Yu was very powerful. Wen Wan became anxious when she heard it. It was almost done, how could she retreat? Master Wang would be able to do it without Master Cheng. Just as he was about to open his mouth, Wen Yu's sharp eyes came over. She was so frightened that she didn't dare to speak. Wen Yu snorted coldly, turned around and was about to leave. The shopkeeper quickly apologized, "Oh Miss Wen. Like this, Master Ching is resting in the back. I will ask her to wait on the ladies right away, just give me some kung fu, let her dress up, don't scare the Jingui girls." Wen Yu snorted again, turned around, and sat down by himself. Wen Su said, "But hurry up, we still have something to do." After saying that, she glanced at Wen Wan, "Look at your little potential." "Yes, yes, yes." The shopkeeper went down in a hurry. After a while, Master Ching came, and Wen Yu found that her face was really not looking good and she looked a little confused. Master Ching is here, fourth sister, you go and try it first. Wen Wan was eager to go upstairs happily. Shopkeeper Lu wanted to come over. Wen Yu's face sank and he said to Manager Lu, "It seems that you have really changed the rules here." Manager Lu also sighed in his heart. The general manager was too eager, and sometimes he didn't even have an eyebrow. He hurried over and whispered to the shopkeeper. The man smiled and went to the back. After Wen Wan finished trying, Wen Su went. She had few clothes, so she went quickly. Finally, Wen Yu went up with Yanzu. Master Ching didn't say anything. He turned around to open the cabinet and took out a baggage and a purse from the middle. Wen Yu looked at it and said, "Are you really not in good health? Look at your complexion." Master Ching smiled bitterly and said, "Master Lu, I'm afraid it's not going to be good. It's a stroke, it's very serious, I'm unconscious." Her eyes were red. Shaking his head, "I shouldn't be able to survive for a few days. Alas, he is old, he can live a stable life in this life, so you don't have to be too sad. Back then, he saved me from the sea of misery. I worked hard to repay him throughout my life. It's not too sad, it's just." She shook her head and said nothing. "You have taken care of this place so well, what else can they do?" Wen Yu asked. "After the shop was built, my wife and my uncle always wanted to get involved, but they didn't know how to do it, so they just took care of it later. Mr. Lu made the decision and sent all their people away, so they were very hateful. But, to put it bluntly, your status means that you cannot have private property. Even if you don't care about property and just work for food, they won't tolerate you, right? Some time ago, the master felt that he was not well, so he wanted to give me the deed, but he couldn't find it. My wife took it away first. Since she did this, I'm afraid she has no intention of letting me go easily." Alas, Wen Yu was so depressed. How come such things happen to him these days? Master Ching sighed softly, "I have been miserable all my life. I have lived for so many years just because I want someone to burn paper money for them during the Qingming festival. Let's not talk about this, Miss Wen. Zuzu, look." She took out a bag of things. "Here are some embroidery samples from my family also. Here are the key points of embroidery techniques. I don't have any descendants in my family, but Miss Zuzu likes it, so I'll give it to you." Yanzu was surprised and happy, and took it with both hands. "Master Ching, what can I say? We have the embroidery pattern and the key, but whether you can succeed depends on your understanding and luck." Yanzu nodded desperately, tears of excitement came out. "When you said, 'Master Ching, this is the essence of your craftsmanship. We can't ask for it in vain. I also have some silver now. I need it.' The girl is kind-hearted, but she doesn't understand that people's hearts are sinister. They won't let me go, and it's useless to ask for money. Everything depends on people, so you don't need to be overly panicked. Is there anything else you need my help with?" Master Ching looked at Wen Yu, burst into tears and moved, and suddenly knelt down in front of her. Wen Yu quickly asked, "What are you doing? Please help me, girl. You stand up and speak, and I will do whatever you can do." Master Ching stood up and took out a paper bag from his clothes. "I have a descendant at home, there are 2 banknotes and a letter in it. Please send it to the girl according to the address in it. When you put it away first." "Okay. This is easy, I'll be there in a minute." "No, this is that kind of place. You can't go there yourself. Just find a reliable person to send it to you. Don't let your family know." "Thank you, girl. I..." Master Ching suddenly stopped talking and put some clothes on Wen Yu. "Miss Wen, are you feeling okay?" Wen Yu understood, "Someone is coming." She still said slowly, "Yeah. How about I put some more here for you, maybe you'll grow taller." Miss Wen. Listen to the voice, it sounds like Manager Lu. When you hummed, come in. Manager Lu came in and looked at them with twinkling eyes. Has Miss Wen chosen the ingredients? Choose the ingredients, Manager Lu, the ingredients have already been chosen. Manager Lu was a little embarrassed. Yes. Look at my memory. As she spoke, her eyes searched around. Yanzu put the bag on the table and rummaged around to look at the new items. Manager Lu didn't notice anything unusual, but asked her to keep an eye on the shopkeeper. She had no choice but to strike up a conversation when she had nothing to say. When you sat there without answering, then turned to Master Ching and said, Master Ching, what's wrong here? If this continues, all the customers will be offended. Manager Lu blushed and said quickly, oh, blame me. I'm a little confused today. You try slowly, I'll go wash my face and wake up. Smiled and went down. Master Ching tried on Wenyu's clothes. Master Ching, although I don't know your previous experience, but for so many years, you have relied on your skills to make a living and managed this place to a prosperous future. That shows that you are a capable person and your luck is not the worst. This must be the case. You can get through it safely. If you can handle it, don't worry about it. What if something good happens to you? Thank you, girl, I'll remember it. After returning home, Yanzu opened the baggage and found that it was full of embroidery, large and small. She looked at each piece. Oh my God, there is such an embroidery method. Those embroidery pieces may be padded with cotton, and each flower appears three-dimensional and full. I've never seen it before. In the past, Mrs. Songwoo's clothes should be a variation of this embroidery method. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. You, Zuzu is really lucky. When you looked at the mirror and saw herself becoming more and more beautiful and confident. Turning around again, there were beads like delicate flowers greedily gesturing at the embroidery pieces. Well, we are indeed extremely lucky. There is always a stinky baby who wants to see a male lead and a female lead. Okay, we will arrange it tomorrow. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 93. Zanquan Villa is located halfway up Yunmen Mountain. To go up, you have to climb the mountain ridge in front of you. This time when we came back, the Chi family specially built a road. Although it was a bit steep when climbing over the mountain ridge, it was not difficult to walk. The fourth master of the Chi family had already arranged someone at the foot of the mountain to lead the guests up the mountain. Going up the mountain road, everyone opened the car curtains and swayed to the Chi family gatehouse amid the beautiful scenery along the way. The female steward had been waiting for me for a long time, and she greeted him with a smile. Old Mrs. Wen, my surname is Wang. I was sent by my wife to serve the old lady and the girls. Hey, Manager Wang, I'm going to trouble you. Your wife is really meticulous. This is what it should be. I'm afraid you are not used to walking on mountain roads. The yard assigned to your family is very close. Please come with me. After entering the gatehouse, there is a long bluestone road. This villa is really prosperous. Old Mrs. Wen praised it sincerely. There are restaurants and shops on both sides, which are clean and tidy. There are not too many people, not too many, and it is quite artistic. Manager Wang introduced it as he walked. A wealthy family built a courtyard here to escape the heat in the summer and soak in the hot springs in the winter. There is morning mist every day, with mountains and rivers nearby, half hidden and half visible, extremely beautiful. The fog clears and the sunrise can be seen as you walk further up. The Chi family has a hot spring village that will receive guests. The fee is not low, but if you want to come, you have to queue up. Old Mrs. Wen couldn't help but secretly sigh. This kind of background is really beyond the reach of the Wen family. Manager Wang also said, it's cold in the morning and evening in the mountains. Old ladies and girls are expensive, so they should wear thicker clothes. Especially cloaks, which are indispensable. It's really cooler than where we are before. I asked the ladies to prepare thick clothes. When you looked at the prosperous Zanquan villa and Yanzu with shining eyes, but he was thinking in his heart, even if his father gets promoted, the Wen family is still not qualified to be the honored guests of the Qi family. MRSG invited the Wen family here simply because she wanted to take the opportunity to thank herself for saving Yuan. There is no news about the marriage between the two young masters. Maybe they want to see each other among the guests this time. Alas, there are many things that I cannot control. Not long after, we arrived at the courtyard where the Wen family lived. Wen Yu didn't need anyone to help him, so he jumped out of the car and looked around, the small town under the sun, with exquisite architecture, quiet and peaceful. As I was looking around in circles, I suddenly saw a figure flashing behind a huge stone with the word Zanquan Villa carved on it. Looking carefully, there is no one there. "Ayu, come quickly," Yanzu called in a low voice. The courtyard where the Wen family lives faces the street in front and mountains in the back. Through the courtyard gate, I saw a two-story house inside. Wen Jiao cheered and walked into the courtyard without caring about anything. Then she rushed to the second floor. She wanted to choose the best room. My wife said, "You have been working hard all the way, so you should take a rest first. The dinner will be arranged in Luime Pavilion. It will be earlier, the guests will chat, and I will accompany the old lady there. If there is anything missing in the room, I will send someone to tell me one sound." The arrangement is so thoughtful. Old Mrs. Wen was really flattered. This reception was really an honor for the Wen family. It was neither a relative nor a friend. The eldest son's promotion brings many benefits. Wu followed the old lady and looked around. When her eyes passed over Yanzu, who was standing next to Wen Yu, she was stunned. Wen Yu had his own carriage, so he brought Yanzu, Xiaoji, and Xiangshu with him without the old lady's permission. "Who is that?" Wu asked the girl in a low voice. The girl did know. "Madam, this is the girl named Hongdu next to the eldest daughter. I heard recently that her name has been changed." Wu rolled her eyes. "I remember, when you said that a girl next to me is not a slave, is she her?" "It should be her." Wu squinted her eyes, and there was a fierce light in them. "If you are not a slave, how can you stay with Wen Yu? Remind me, when you go back, drive her out." She broke out in a cold sweat. So beautiful, her husband actually didn't see. He had no intention of doing anything else and looked at Yanzu one by one. Behind the boulder, hidden are Chi Si and Chi Wu. When the Wen family members all went in, Chi Si smiled and said, "Which one is Miss Wen?" Just now, two stunning beauties got out of the car. "Which one is it? Tell me quickly." Chi Wu's face turned even paler with anger. He was dragged and hugged by his fourth brother. He straightened the clothes that were messed up by Chi Si and lost his temper. "I almost let people see her." "What kind of words? Does it matter whether she is good looking or not? What a peerless beauty, she is just a little bit better than others." "Tch, a little better, your vision is really bad, just tell me which one it is, and I'll let you go." Chi Wu pursed his lips and said nothing. Chi Si winked, "Tall or short?" "Just like spring orchids, like summer flowers, tisk tisk tisk, no matter who you are, fifth brother will be a blessing to the sky." "Is it polite for you to comment on others like this?" Chi Wu glared at Chi Si bitterly. "You said it, I won't comment." Come on, come on." Chi Si acted rogue. Snort. The big cloak covered her body, leaving only her hair and snow-white face exposed. "It's really not ugly. It's just that when she got out of the car, she jumped down. Can't help but think of my cousin Lian Yu, who was as weak as a spring willow, Easy to get angry and easy to be happy. She usually had to be supported by a girl when she walked. She was good, she walked lightly and quickly, her cloak flickered, like a butterfly. Snored. Although she looks pretty, okay. But, she is not gentle. On the street, you dare to save Yuan from the gangsters. How courageous must this be? Which one is it? Chi turned around anxiously. Tall, Chi Wu said impatiently. Ah, fifth brother, Miss Wen is tall among women. She is a perfect match for you. Chi felt that he was much more powerful than fifth brother, but he was not as tall as him, which was a pity. What's the right match? All she has to do is make her mother happy, Chi Wu muttered. He. Chi looked at him and laughed. Wen Jiao walked around the second floor for a long time and chose the best one. The old lady and Wu chose the first floor. There were many rooms, and the Wen family was dissatisfied with them, so Wen Yu chose the farthest one, which had a view of the mountains behind. Although she brought Yanzu with her, she didn't ask for a room and planned to sleep on the same bed with Yanzu. It was indeed a hard journey. After the bed was packed, they lay down without going out. Wen Jiao was very energetic and wanted to take the girl out to play, but Mrs. Wu saw her and said, Jiao, don't go out. Wen Jiao was not happy. I'm going to see MRSG in the evening. Let's go back to the capital and go to the Qi family. If you can come and go frequently, it will be of great benefit. So, be energetic, dress up well, and leave a good impression on MRSG. After hearing this, Wen Jiao thought what her mother said made sense, so she planned to go back to her room. They saw Wen Su coming downstairs, taking his daughter with him. Just now, she saw a mutton soup seller outside in the car and planned to have a bowl. Wu stopped her and repeated what she had just said. Wen Su disagreed, Mom, it's better to let nature take its course. Rushing is not a business. What nonsense are you talking about? Mrs. Wu was angry. She didn't like this daughter very much, and her words didn't sound pleasant. As a result, Wen Jiao went back to catch up on her sleep, while Wen Su went out to drink soup. In the evening, before the sun set, the Wen family came out to freshen up and dress up. Wu saw that Wen Yu was actually wearing Yanzu. Moreover, Yanzu was dressed neatly and looked even more delicate. Anger suddenly broke out, Wen Yu, she wants to go to the banquet with us. Yanzu was originally in high spirits, but when she saw Wu doing this, she felt something was wrong and wanted to step back. Wenzu gently pulled her and said, Second aunt, take her there to see if she wants to eat with us. You look like a young lady after all, why are you so shameless when the elders in your family talk about you outside? Old Mrs. Wen went out and was in a good mood, but she heard Wu's bad words. This was really rare. She was puzzled and looked at Yanzu. Ouch, this is. Nanny Song next to her whispered, Old lady, this is the red bean in the eldest girl's house. I heard it is called Yanzu now. The eldest girl said that it was the female companion that the first lady found for her, not a girl. Not a girl. Yes, I asked the people around the second wife, and it was true that she did not have a deed. When the eldest wife came in, there was a woman next to her who was pregnant. Later, the eldest wife, the woman disappeared not long after. Mr. Wen's heart sank when she mentioned the past. Seeing Manager Wang greeting her with a smile, she said, Come on, don't talk about it. Let's go over first. Wu was even more unhappy when her mother-in-law asked her to stop. He glared at Wen Yu fiercely, turned around and walked away. Wen Jiao glared at Wen Yu dissatisfied. Wenwan gloats and smiles with his lips pursed. Wen Su rolled his eyes and said, Just go, Yanzu is not ugly. It doesn't matter. End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 94. MRSG, wearing grey silk clothes and gorgeous jewelry, received the guests. Old Mrs. Wen. MRSG, let me introduce to you, this is my second daughter-in-law. Wu still looked generous and stable, MRSG. MRS Wen MRSG nodded, without saying much, and turned to ask the old lady, are you still used to the place where you live? That's so thoughtful. To tell you the truth, my second son has been to Zanquan Villa. If you hadn't invited us, we women really wouldn't have had the courage to come. When we climbed that mountain ridge, although the road was easy to walk, but I'm still a little dizzy. If we go back and build the bridge, we won't have to climb over the mountain ridge. That's good, but the scenery over there is also unique. Oh, why are there so many guests? Yeah, I rarely come back, so I invite my relatives and friends to have fun. There are some fun things to do on Zhuangzi, such as watching the lake, climbing mountains, and taking a bath in the hot springs. Okay, now that you're here, let's give it a try. Several people laughed. MRSG looked at Wen Yu standing behind. Her smiling eyes were looking at her, so generous. I have watched this again and again, but the more I watch it, the more I like it. Well, my decision is sound. Another guest came in, and MRSG went to greet them. When you looked around, almost all of them were ladies with gorgeous girls. The ladies kept looking at other girls. Then, she and Yanzu had received a lot of unkind looks. Sure enough, it means a blind date. The guests should have almost all arrived, and a message was announced at the door, Madam, the 4th and 5th masters are here. MRSG said with a smile on her face, let them come in. At the door, a man appeared first. He was tall and slender, with sharp eyebrows and long eyes, a straight nose and a square mouth, with a gentle expression. He was dressed in elegant brocade clothes and his behavior showed good education. So impressive. Those who don't know think that this is the 5th son born by MRSG. Sounds of admiration arose all of a sudden. The man was at the door and did not go in. Instead, he smiled brightly and looked sideways at the back. After a while, another person slowly came out from behind. A ray of sunshine hit the man behind, as if he had a golden rim on him, like a coming from heaven. The voices that were still talking about Chi Si's spiritual style just now disappeared all of a sudden. MRSG, I particularly enjoy this moment. So, she was elated. Chi Wu, on the other hand, is particularly averse to such occasions. So, he had a dark face. Only heard a burst of soft screams from around me. This is not Tianlong Temple. Is Prince Wu the last person in the team? The person who shocked many people at that time turned out to be Mr. Chi Wu. Wen Yu has seen him several times. He is calmer than everyone else and looks at the people around him with evil interest. Sure enough, both the old and the young were wiped out. Even MRS Wen was confused. MRSG is just fairer, and her appearance is not outstanding. No matter what, I can't understand how I could give birth to such a son. Those who make soft calls include Wen Xiao. Last time at Tianlong Temple, she only looked at Prince Wu's grandeur and didn't even notice the last person. In fact, she also inherited Wu's gene, love for beauty. He looked at Chi Wu with piercing eyes, without blinking for a long time, and his face turned red. When you looked around with satisfaction and returned his eyes to Chi Wu, even if you are good looking, you still dress like this, then why are you so dark-faced when others look at you? Suddenly, when you noticed that Chi Wu's eyes turned in the crowd, fell on him, and gave him a hard look. Have I provoked him? Suddenly, a small hand held Wen Yu. Wen Yu was puzzled when he was startled and looked around. Little girl Yuan. Oh, is it little Yuan? Your, was broken, she forgot what the little rabbit was called. Tuan, Yuan was very unhappy. Why does this person always forget? Too unfriendly to Tuan. Next time, Sister, just remember, reunion. You will never forget it, she was very serious. Oh, yes, yes, it's all round remember, where is it? Oh, this is Zuzu, you can call her Sister Zuzu. Looking at it with round black eyes, he said, oh, this sister is good looking too. You both look good. Yanzu lowered his head, are you Yuan Yuan? You know me. Yes, you have a little rabbit. Well, it's called Tuan Tuan. Yuan Yuan, you look good too, especially this little skirt, it's so beautiful. Yan Zhu's eyes sparkled, the material is so good. Really, I have so many skirts that I can't even wear them. If you're not too big to wear them, I'll give them to you. Have you seen Tuan Tuan? I've never seen it before. Come on, sister, sister, I'll take you to see it. Xiao Yuan Yuan is shouldering a task today, dragging Wen Yu and Yanzu out all the time. Wen Yu suddenly thought, Zuzu, let's go see Tuan Tuan. Baby rabbits are very edible. Sister Yu and I raised them when we were children. We even gave birth to little rabbits, 4 in a litter. So cute. But later, Yanzu recalled that they were raised in the Song family. Later, the 4th master of the Song family took it away. That boy is bad and stupid. Yanzu has endless attraction for children. Even Lu Lanzhou is particularly obedient when he is with her. After a while, the round little hand held Yanzu, and the bang started. We didn't have to go far to get there, because Yuan Yuan took it with her wherever she went. Yanzu and Yuan Yuan squatted in front of the rabbit cage, chirping non-stop. When you thought about the expression Chi Wu looked at her just now, feeling puzzled and amused. I was spinning around looking at the scenery far and near. When I turned my head, the of heaven arrived in front of me. Why did he come out so quickly? Why are you here again? She didn't expect that Chi Wu was here to find her. Chi Wu's expression was awkward and depressed. Is she surprised why she is here? Of course it was arranged by his mother. Otherwise he could have come out so quickly. Standing gloomily, looking at Wen Yu and saying nothing, as if he was angry with someone. Young Master Chi Wu, Wen Yu thought to himself, let me say hello first. You can't just stand there stupidly. Chi Wu swallowed and gave a standard salute, Miss Wen, then he stood up straight and stopped talking. The scenery at Zanquan Villa is really nice, when you could only find something to say. Yet Chi Wu responded. It's over? I heard there is a hot spring, is it there? He pointed at a group of wooden buildings with different heights. He only responded, but had no words. Can the guests come? Abel. He had nothing to say, but he didn't leave either. He just stood and looked at Wen Yu. Wen Yu took the initiative to say several words, but got no response at all, so he got angry and stopped talking. Treat him as a human being and look back at him calmly. At this moment, Chi Wu became nervous. He tried hard to recall what his 4th brother had taught him, and said, Welcome Miss Wen to Zanquan Villa. This person is beautiful, but he is like a piece of wood. Seeing Wen Yu's playful expression, Chi Wu became even more nervous. My palms felt like they were sweating, and they were squeezed tightly into my sleeves. Well, you can swim in the lake. Also, it's good to watch the sunrise there. He pointed to a high point on the mountain with his sleeves. Oh, really? Didn't you say it was foggy in the morning, when you thought that he was very kind? When he saw that he was nervous, he took the initiative to relieve it. When the sun rises, the fog disappears. Okay, oh, are there any snakes or wolves in the dense forest? Chi Wu was a little strange. She had so many questions. There are no wolves. There are not many snakes, so don't go into the forest. When are you going back to the capital? I really can't find a topic. Chi Wu looked at her warily, as if analyzing the meaning of the sentence. Soon. There is no time to talk today. Just in time, Yanzu and Yuan Yuan were almost chattering, and turned to look at them with a ghostly smile. Especially Yuan, the little girl probably heard something. She covered her mouth with her little hands and her face turned red. Excuse me. We are a wooden beauty, not a domineering president. End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 95. While eating, the two young masters of the Chi family were not present. The table is full of delicious food, but everyone is absent-minded and trying to think of ways to praise their daughter. When you ate deliciously, and Yuan even made an appointment with her to watch the sunrise the next day. Very confused, as a little girl, wouldn't it be good to sleep in? What sunrise to watch? But no matter what, there may be a long-term relationship with the Chi family, and it is necessary to maintain it well. Moreover, I heard from the girls present that there were quite a few people going to watch the sunrise the next day. After returning to the house, when you went to bed early. It gets dark very late in the mountains, and at 1 o'clock, it's still dark outside. Breakfast was not brought. After drinking some warm water and eating a snack, we set off with Yanzu. As soon as I went out, it was quite cold outside. Originally, Xiaoji volunteered to accompany her, but looking at her fat and short legs, she thought it would be difficult for her, so she brought the fragrant book with her. Xiaoji originally wanted to fight for it, but when you told her to stay here and inquire about all kinds of news. It's okay to wake up early in Xiangshu, but I haven't climbed a mountain. After walking for a while, we started going uphill. As soon as they left, Wen Yu shook his head and said to Xiangshu, looking at you, you don't look like many people who can walk on mountain roads. You can walk slowly. You can go as far as Guanyiting Pavilion at most. It doesn't matter if you can't get there, just wait on the road. Xiangshu hurriedly agreed. She was still carrying water and snacks, and she felt really tired after walking for a short distance. When we arrived at the intersection going up the mountain, we found that none of the people who had vowed to come to climb the mountain yesterday had come. Children Yuan didn't come either. Instead, he sent a girl. The girl smiled with a smile on her face. I'm sorry, Miss Wen. My young lady really can't get up, let your servant accompany you to climb up first. She will come up to you later. Well, she didn't go on her own, but tricked me into going, and even forced me to wait for her on the mountain. It was so cold in such a cold weather. This kid is so unreliable. Look around, the clouds are shrouded in mist, it's really beautiful. The opportunity is indeed rare, just wait for your girl here, let's crawl first, let's go. When you waved her hand, and Yanzu opened her legs. The two of them breathed in the fresh air. Yanzu turned around as he walked and said, the Chi family is such a waste. We can't live in such a nice house, so we have to live in the capital. I heard that there are many people in the capital and the houses are very crowded. Can it be the same as here? There is an emperor in the capital, that is the center of power. After a while, I started wheezing and panting. Walking around and around quite quickly, we arrived at the place to watch the sunrise. A pavilion was built here. Standing here, you can see the town below. The stream next to it flows to Pinghu in the distance, and then further down, flowing into a small river. The sun comes out, and all the scenery is enveloped in golden glow, it's so beautiful. Two beautiful girls are looking at the scenery, but they also become part of the scenery. The moment was so wonderful, but Yanzu said something very inappropriate. Ayu, I want convenience. Huh, then, when you looked around, but there was no convenient place. How about you go down the mountain first? It's too late, Yanzu said honestly. Oh, why don't you go into the woods? Okay, Yanzu was very obedient and walked away. Be careful, don't go too far, but don't. What's this? Have you forgotten that we were still in that bamboo forest when we were children? That was when I was a kid. Okay, okay, go ahead, I'll watch it for you. Yanzu nodded, with a little excitement on his face. Seeing her hiding in the forest, Wen Yu looked on the road. Fortunately, no one came yet. Otherwise, from a big girl's family. When I am anxious, it feels like the time is extremely long. What's taking so long? What is she doing? The sweat from climbing the mountain fell down, and then a gust of morning wind blew, and her body tightened. When you suddenly realized that she actually wanted to go for a convenience. It's quite urgent too. This is so true. Why join in the fun? Why did she go away for so long? Shall I go in too? No, it's dark. What if someone comes? She was grinding in place, hurry up, hurry up. The more anxious she became, the more she wanted to go. When she felt that she was about to burst, Yanzu came back with satisfaction, humming a little tune, leisurely and leisurely. Zuzu, why are you so lazy? Come on, I'm going too. Ah, you want to go too? Yes, 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 you stay here until dawn, so no one will see you later. Don't worry, you can't see it. When you entered the forest in a panic. Take a few steps and look back, but you can still see Yanzu swinging there. Walk a few more steps and look back, and you can still see. Didn't you say you couldn't see it? She just didn't expect that when the sun came out, the surrounding area would become brighter every moment. Suddenly, she heard who Yanzu was talking to. Is this someone coming? So fast, it's really too much. As a last resort, I walked deeper and deeper and turned around. Finally there was a place, which was well blocked by shrubs and trees. She squatted down with relief, but found that the more anxious she was, the longer it would take to solve it. After finally finishing her work, before she could get up, a gust of wind seemed to come, and the grass behind her swayed, and her pee-pee was swept away. How did she know it was grass? Huh, he immediately picked up his clothes and jumped to the side. When he looked back, there was nothing. Damn it, she tied her clothes in a hurry. Haven't finished packing yet. There was a sudden whooshing sound, the grass swayed, and something gray and furry flew past her leg. Huh, this time, she yelled even more, grabbing her skirt and jumping her feet. Why are you here? Someone was asking her, a man. Huh, Wen Yu was almost dizzy. Although her pants were fastened, her outer skirt had not yet been tidied up. So, in the woods, she, who was disheveled in clothes, was stared at dumbfoundedly by Chi Wu, who was all dressed up and holding a bow and arrow. It seems that she also shocked Chi Wu, his eyes stared straight. Turn your face away, Wen Yu screamed, his face turned red. After a moment of excitement, Chi Wu also blushed and turned around quickly. Wen Yu hurriedly arranged her clothes and ran away without saying a word. Hey! Don't run there, Chi Wu heard the sound and turned around quickly. As soon as he saw the direction Wen Yu was running in, he quickly called her. But Wen Yuli ignored him and ran away without thinking. A familiar scene flashed in Chi Wu's mind, but at the moment, he couldn't think about it. Hurry up and catch up. How can Wen Yu outperform Chi Wu in this situation? Within 2 steps, he was caught up. Stop running. There is a creek and a cliff ahead. It is easy to slip and fall. Are you going to die? He was unhappy. What are you running for? I didn't see anything. When you looked ahead and stopped. Without looking at him, he turned around and went back. He couldn't run anymore, and he was panting as he walked. He didn't know whether he was tired or angry. The beautiful woman with pink cheeks and scented fragrance passed by. Chi Wu's heart almost jumped out of his throat. After thinking about it, he still followed Wen Yu. He explained clumsily, don't be angry. I didn't see anything. He also said. Don't follow me, Wen Yu said angrily. Okay, I won't follow, he said without stopping. I was just passing by while hunting, I didn't know you were here, should I not mention it again? Actually, the reason why he came here was really arranged by MRSG to meet Wen Yu. But, he didn't know what to say to Wen Yu, so he took the bow and arrow. If his mother asked him to go up the mountain, wouldn't it be enough if he went up? At that time, he said that he didn't see anyone, and there was nothing his mother could do. Unexpectedly, when I went up the mountain, I actually found a badger, chasing it, but I still saw someone, and doing unspeakable things. Alas, this is fate. I will be responsible, and I will marry you. Wen Yu was walking up dizzy when she heard his words. Although my steps are still moving forward, my mind has stopped. Really, I know that the girl's family attaches great importance to this no matter what, it's my fault now that we are married, you don't have to worry about your reputation. Wen Yu finally stopped and said, you didn't know I was here beforehand. How can you force a marriage? It's not forced. Mother was also telling me. Okay. That's it, don't be angry. That is what a gentleman says. When Yu was overjoyed, but couldn't show it. Don't worry, Chi Wu returned to his original mode, nothing more to say. We can't stay here for long, I'm leaving first. Wen Yu blushed again. Wait. Chi Wu grabbed a few branches of flowers and walked over to hand them to her. Someone should be coming from the top, just tell me they're here to pick flowers. Wen Yu felt a little sweet in her heart and did not dare to look at him. She took the flowers, bowed her knees and turned away. Isn't he quite romantic? He still knows how to give girls flowers? Actually, she was overthinking it. This set of actions is not out of friendship at all, but Chi Wu's way of doing things. He took this as a task. Know how to operate it so that no one outside becomes suspicious. If Wen Yu knew about it, he would probably be angry, right? Chi Wu stood there, watching Wen Yu walk away with his clothes fluttering, his back was beautiful. Everything just happened was like a dream, leaving no trace behind. But he knew it was different. He has a fiancée. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 96. When Wen Yu came out of the forest, Yanzu was worried. Why did it take so long? What will she say when she comes out soon? Just as he was thinking about it, Wen Yu came out with his hands behind his back. In the pavilion, there are some girls from the guest's family. Early in the morning, everyone set out. Some people came to the mountains, some went to the lake, and some were in the town or near the main courtyard of the Qi family, all wanting to have a chance encounter with the fifth young master of the Qi family. As a result, these few people climbed up covered in sweat. They didn't see the beautiful man, but there was a beautiful woman here, and then another one came out of the woods. Hey, is this Miss Wen? What are you doing in the forest? It doesn't sound good to say it. Without answering, Wen took out the flowers he was carrying on his back and handed them to Yanzu. Yanzu smiled and said, "Ah, so beautiful. Does it smell good?" Moving closer, the two girls put their noses on the flowers and smelled them. The color was even more beautiful than the flowers. It made several girls present feel ashamed. The major events of his life have been decided, and Chi Wu has no intention of hunting anymore. He no longer had to think about it, and he felt at ease. It's just that he doesn't think about it anymore, but he can't stop others from thinking about it. Along the way, I don't know how many girls greeted him. Among them, Wen Wan. He didn't look sideways and didn't say a word. As we were approaching the gate, Master Chi Wu, an excited voice shouted. Chi Wu walked straight forward with a stupefied expression, "Master." Seeing that he didn't answer or stop, the man actually followed him, but with her small steps, how could she catch up? Seeing it, he strode into the courtyard gate. The girl stayed there sadly. In the corner next to you, a short and fat girl saw all this, and she was shaving quietly with her fingers. The third girl is shameless. This is Xiaoji scolding Wen Xiao. Wen Xiao was sad and went back to find her mother. Wu had just finished shopping in the town and bought a few jars of wine. When he saw her coming in, he smiled and said, "Xiao is back. Look, your dad likes this wine. Mom will bring him some jars back." "Mother." Wen Xiao sat down lonely. "Xiao, what's wrong?" Looking at her daughter's face, she seemed to have something to say to herself, so with a wink, the girls went out. Wen Xiao is straight-tempered and not shy. "Mom, if your daughter wants to marry Mr. Qi, how can she do it?" Wu was stunned and put down the small wine jar in her hand. He sat upright, thought for a moment, and shook his head. "Xiao, Mr. Qi Wu, of course I understand what you are thinking." All the girls present at that time would have had such thoughts. "Mom," Wen Xiao didn't like to hear it. "It's just that the family backgrounds of the Qi and Wen families are very different." "But mother, except for Prince Wu's mansion, other families in the local area have high hopes for getting married to the Qi family. Since MRSG wants to find a wife for the fifth young master Qi in her hometown, it means that she recognizes the gap in family background. In this case, why didn't my daughter get married? A chance. That's too much difference. To say it, even gentle words." Wu just said it subconsciously. "Mom. Why did you run away on your own before anyone else said anything? What's the difference between Wen Yu and an orphan? Are you comparing her to your daughter?" Wen Jiao interrupted. "Jiao, stop talking. Ask your daughter about this matter to her grandmother. MRSG is so polite to her grandmother, so there may not be anything she can do about it. If it really works out, what do you and my father have to worry about? In the future, there will be no need to live in peace. Look at the faces of the uncle and his stepwife." This impressed Wu. "Okay, I'll ask your grandmother." After Chi Wu returned, he didn't say much to his mother, but nodded directly. MRSG put her palms together and was very happy. Chi Si also took a fancy to Zhang Weiqing from the Zhang family, and everything went well as expected. "Good son, I will settle the matter with the Zhang family now, and then talk to the Wen family later." "Mother, the matter is settled. Can my son go out to do errands?" "Why are you in a hurry? You can go out when you feel more confident. You don't know, there's so much trouble out there, this road." "Haha, what can I do? Who can make my son outstanding?" Chi Wu shook his head helplessly when he saw his confident mother. He planned to read in the room and not go out. After lunch the next day, MRSG invited MRS Wen over alone to talk. Old MRS Wen felt inexplicably uneasy and didn't know what MRSG wanted to say to her. It started with just polite words, and slowly, he talked about the two young masters of the Qi family. "The fourth young master, the old lady, I thought he was your biological son, but when the fifth young master came out, oh, even I, the old lady, was stunned. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is the best young man in the world. He looks decent," MRSG said sourly. "You are too modest." "Haha, but this child is not only good-looking, filial, and capable, but also has many friends. Oh, I don't know how many girls are so lucky," old MRS Wen sighed sincerely. "Well, he listens to me. As for me, I don't want to choose anything else, I just want to find someone who I can get along with." "Haha, speaking of this, old MRS Wen, your eldest granddaughter, Wen Yu." Old MRS Wen's heart thumped loudly. She fainted and barely suppressed her emotions. "That girl is good-looking and quite generous. I don't know if she can marry her, MRSG enjoyed this process very much. But MRS Wen's mind was swirling like a violent storm. The legitimate son and grandson of the Chi family actually wants to marry the Wen family. Oh my god. If it can be done. I'm afraid the whole capital will know about the Wen family. So it turns out that MRSG invited me here not because of my son's promotion, but because she had already taken a liking to Wen Yu. Why? But in his mind, he thought of Chen's death and the eldest son's explanation at lightning speed. There is also the Yuan family, and the recent changes in Wen Yu. The Wen Jiao that MRS Wu talked about to her yesterday, it would be nice to mention Wen Xiao. No matter how well Wen Yu marries, it will not work out if it is not beneficial to the Wen family. MRSG didn't know why and looked at her with evil interest. The incident happened so suddenly that old MRS Wen couldn't turn around for a moment and forced a smile. Oh, this is really, somewhat unfortunate. MRSG's expression did not change and she waited quietly for her to finish. My eldest son and a particularly close friend are already discussing Wen Yu's marriage. Although the other party's family is incomparable to the Chi family. That young man is not even close to the fifth son of your family. But, it's hard to miss an appointment. Ha! This is really, shameless. MRSG's face suddenly collapsed. Are you treating me like a fool? Do you think I would propose marriage without asking for details? This is a crazy woman. Anger rose to the top of my forehead, and then sank down again. If when you hadn't saved me Yuan, I would have had your family kicked out right now. I don't mind being the lintel of the Wen family, and I don't mind that Wen Yu's mother died early and gave such an outstanding son to the Wen family as his son-in-law. I didn't expect that the Wen family would be so ignorant of praise. Oh, that's right. You have to leave early tomorrow morning, so go back and rest early, come and see the guests off. MRSG held up the teacup. Is this being driven away? Old MRS Wen was agitated and her face turned red. Oh, MRSG, Old MRS Wen, walk slowly. The nanny next to MRSG was listening and came up in 2 steps and said coldly. Old MRS Wen finally understood her identity, and she regretted it to death. Am I crazy? Ever since we met, MRSG has been polite and courteous, and even treated the Wen family as distinguished guests. How come I didn't realize how generous the world is? Ho Men, the wife of a first-class general. I haven't even gotten a job yet I dared to reject the Chi family with the red tongue and white teeth. It's over, this time it's very painful. What should I do when I enter the capital? Will my son be affected? She wanted to save her again, but judging from the woman's aura, if she didn't go out, they would take action. MRSG, sitting there holding a teacup, her whole aura was completely different from before. She had no choice but to go out in disgrace, returned to her apartment in a fog, and sat there. What should she do? What's wrong with me? No matter what they thought before or how they arranged it later, they immediately opened their mouths and should be extremely happy to follow up. At the beginning, Wenfeng and I wanted to send Wen Yu to Prince Wu's mansion. Why was it that when things happened, I was so stupid? The old lady's dejected look was seen by someone and she reported it to Mr. Wu. MRS Wu didn't know what happened, so she went directly to the old lady and said, "Mom, you don't look well." Old MRS Wen knew she shouldn't say it, but she couldn't hold it back. Just now, I offended the Chi family. Tomorrow morning, people will be evicted. This is really embarrassing. How could it be? Can you tell your wife? MRS Wu didn't know what happened, showing her usual stability. MRSG told me that she wanted to marry Wen Yu to the fifth son of the Chi family. What? Wu was shocked by these words. This, mother, did you agree? No, I refused on the grounds that Wen Yu's marriage had already been decided at a close friend's house. Wu's eyes lit up. Mother, then you didn't mention our dear child. What did you say? Old Mrs. Wen howled, picked up the teacup on the table and smashed it at Wu. The teacup hit Wu, but she didn't even think of hiding. The old lady yelled, "You bastard! You are from a respectable family after all. This is how the Wu family taught you? Is this selling vegetables? Huh? There are no radishes. Let's see if you want lotus roots. Who are you? What nonsense!" She vented her shock, anger, embarrassment, shame, regret and other emotions on Wu. Wu was sore from being hit that she was soaked in tea. Until the teacup fell to the ground and shattered into pieces, Wu opened her mouth and did not react. "Look at how ugly she is." Old Mrs. Wen was still angry. "Wen Jiao has a mother like you, but she still wants to marry into the Qi family. I'm dreaming. Get out of here." Old Mrs. Wen pointed at the door crazily. Wu's eyes turned red. She was the serious daughter-in-law of the Wen family who had been carried in a sedan chair. She was the head wife. To be treated like this by my mother-in-law. Humbling his face, he ran back to the room crying. "Hey guys, are you happy?" End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 97. The atmosphere in the courtyard where the Wen family lives is tense. But when you didn't know this. At this moment, she felt lucky and satisfied. If this comes true, her wish will see the light of day. It's just that this matter may still have some twists and turns. For example, what Xiao Ji saw, Wen Jiao was also attracted to Qi Wu. She knew that the Wu family had put in a lot of effort to marry her second uncle. Otherwise, how could the lecherous second uncle marry her? While looking at the lake view, a girl suddenly came over and said with a smile, "Miss Wen, our Miss Yuan Yuan, please come over." "Oh, where is Yuan Yuan?" "Miss Wen, please come with me." The lady said that if you have something to say, please go by yourself. "Haha, this little Yuan Yuan, Zuzu, go back first." When you followed the girl back to the street and went straight into a tea house. Can't help but wonder, Yuan Yuan will be waiting here? Going up to the second floor, although she hesitated, she didn't think there would be any danger. The girl lightly knocked on the door. Someone opened it inside. When you took a look, Qi Wu. "Come in," Qi Wu said. When you entered the house obediently. "Sit down." At this moment, Qi Wu had a serious expression on his face, instead of the usual stinky look on his face. When you sat down, feeling a little nervous. "Was the marriage hindered?" Qi Wu said quietly, "Just now, my mother and your grandmother mentioned our marriage. Your grandmother refused because it had been agreed with another family." When Yu's heart sank. "So, I am afraid that what I promised before will not come true. Now I come to you to tell you that the Qi family will appreciate your kindness in saving Yuan Yuan. You can tell the Qi family, no. To your mother or me. Make a request. We will do our best. As for what happened on the mountain, it was a misunderstanding. Besides, it's not known to others, so let's just pretend it didn't happen. Miss Wen can also add it to the previous conditions and raise them together. Master Qi Wu, is there no room for redemption in this matter? Miss Wen is a smart person and should know what this means. It can only be said that we are not destined. But in other aspects, mother and I can repay one or two things. His businesslike, rational, and unquestionable demeanor made when you get to know him again. Mr. Qi, what if I say that my grandmother and father have not made an agreement with other families before? The reason why she disagrees is just because of my biological mother, and she suppresses my marriage. Miss Wen, although it is rude to say this, every family has its own accidents. Others cannot interfere. Your marriage needs to be decided by the elders of the family. For such a matter, my mother opened her mouth, but was no, she won't mention it again, do you understand? Yes, MRSG warmly entertained her and proposed marriage in person, but her grandmother really rejected her. She is really good. Wen Yu's eyes became wet and tears flowed down. If you can climb up to the Qi family, you will have a God-given opportunity, but will you lose it again? Furthermore, my grandmother's attitude is impossible to make me better. If you care about face, you will find me a more decent family. She turned her back, just like Lan Fang's aunt. Even taking my life is not impossible. There are many things that she still cannot control. As soon as his eyes closed, tears flowed down like water. Stop crying, Chi Wu coaxed monotonously again. But how could Wen Yu endure it, since he himself responded? She barely slept all night, thinking about what she would do next. How to avenge my mother and punish those sinners. Also, how to live a wonderful life with the beautiful woman in front of you. Make her rebirth meaningful. Just don't marry me. You can ask my mother for help. You will also get help from the Kui family. Money, connections. Even, if you need it, your husband-in-law will be vigorously supported. After he finished speaking, he felt in his heart it was a bit awkward. But when you still wanted to fight for it, Master Chi Wu, can you go find my grandfather? He can also make the decision. Chi Wu said nothing, but shook his head slightly. Master Chi Wu, I don't have to marry you, but I need to marry you. When you took out a handkerchief to wipe his face. What he said was really embarrassing. Miss Wen, I'm afraid this won't work. Besides, even if your grandfather agrees, my mother will never nod again. This is true. If I were MRSG, I would be so annoyed. Looking at Wen Yu's confused expression, Chi Wu felt a little distressed unconsciously. He picked up the pot on the table, poured her a glass of water, and handed it over. It doesn't have to be like this. You don't need to put forward conditions now. The days are long. Think about it slowly. Mother likes you very much. If you can come to Beijing, she will definitely introduce many connections. When you blankly went to take the teacup. The hand he held the cup in was as long and slender as white jade, with finely powdered nails, neatly trimmed, and obvious joints. Suddenly, there was a burst of sparks and lightning in her mind. It's you, the words came out of her mouth. Chi Wu saw Wen Yu staring at his hands and her surprised mouth. It's you, he also blurted out. Oh, it's you. Two people look at each other. At first, Wen Yu thought, it's broken, it's over, I'm going to be silenced. And Chi Wu thought, great, it's her. What did she see? What does she know? The two of them didn't speak. They looked at each other for a long time and both calmed down. When you stopped crying. Chi Wu didn't persuade him anymore. What is his origin? Is it from King Wu? Won't. Wearing tight clothes and a mask, he must be checking on King Wu. The thing he wants is exactly in my hand. Young Master Chi Wu. Wen Yu's attitude suddenly became rational, even teasing, did I bite you? This time, it was Chi Wu's turn to be surprised. This girl, she, why did she change her face so quickly? Humph, Miss Wen is a dog. Humph, the two of them hummed at the same time. What did Miss Wen know at the scene? Young Master Chi Wu is really interesting. What do I know and why should I tell you? So, you had evidence. Chi Wu was a little anxious. Maybe, maybe not. Miss Wen, Chi Wu thought, although you are beautiful, if you weren't Yuan's savior, I could pry your mouth open in just a cup of tea. But, she is. So, you put forward conditions. Grandma doesn't agree with my marriage to you because she doesn't want me to be disadvantageous to the Wen family when I gain power. My grandparents have been separated for many years, and they will fight for anything that is beneficial. As long as you make my grandfather believe that our marriage will be beneficial to him, he will rush out and help me complete this matter. As for MRSG, I respect her very much, but it would be better for me to say it myself. The promise I made just now is not false. I can do many things even if I don't get married. I want to get away from the Wen family. My grandmother rejected you, and my marriage got out of control. Besides, marrying someone else will not restrict me any less. And you, young master, are the best. Chi Wu said nothing. When you continued to advise, if you and I are both willing, we can live together until we grow old. If we are not willing, we can also get a title first. When you and I fulfill our wishes, it is up to you to divorce or divorce. Marriage is not a child's play. Once you get married, you get married. Chi Wu suddenly became very angry. This time, who was playing the role of free and easy, was embarrassed. Aren't you afraid that you won't want to? Let's get back to the business. I do have something in my hand, which was given by the lady who died that day. It is written on it. You read. It's a directory. I read it. I'm quite surprised. If you help me arrange the marriage, I'll give you this. Chi Wu looked at Wen Yu silently and couldn't help but sigh to himself. How did he meet such a woman? Different from mother, different from cousin Li and Yu. Also follow. Then he discovered that besides his mother and cousin, the person he knew best was the little girl Yun. There is really not much experience. Okay, I promise you. When you gave an address, go and ask my grandfather, he will definitely come forward. As for MRSG. When you showed a hint of tenderness. I lost my mother when I was a child, and my father remarried and regarded me as unnecessary. My grandmother valued my father and put his preferences first in everything. I became a dispensable person. Maybe I was worried that if I had a good marriage, I would be in trouble. It's not easy for me to get to where I am today. While getting along with MRSG, I also thought in my heart, how happy would it be to have a mother like MRSG? MRSG was looked down upon because of me, and I really couldn't bear it. Please tell Mr. Chi to tell his wife, when you admires her and likes her. If I marry the young master, I will treat her like my biological mother. Chi Wu blushed and went back to his old routine. He just said and said nothing. End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 98. Chapter 98. Afraid of my death. Wu cried in the room for a long time. It took me ruthlessly tearing off a few pieces of the veil before I could calm down. After a while, the girl came to convey old Mrs. Wen's instructions to pack her things and leave early tomorrow morning. Originally, the old lady had invited some ladies to play cards. Now, she can only ask Wu to arrange for someone to say, I have received a letter from home and I have to leave early for something. Wu suppressed her negative emotions, arranged these things, and ordered someone to check the carriage in advance. Suddenly, she rolled her eyes, showed a ferocious smile, and asked the girl to call someone. The carriages of the guests are stored together in a large open space. Li Jiang and Sun Ying live nearby. These 2 days, they are very happy. Although the villa arranged meals, Wen Yu also gave them money, so the two of them walked around the town every day, making mutton soup today, grilling fish tomorrow, and drinking some wine. It was very leisurely. When nothing happened, Sun Ying told Li Jiang some interesting stories about the world, and even guided Li Jiang to practice martial arts. Lijiang people are also diligent, cleaning their cars and brushing their horses every day. At this moment, the second wife sent someone and said that she would go back tomorrow. Li Jiang heard that he was anxious and wanted to pack up the carriage. Someone came and said that my wife bought some wine and asked a few people to move it. Moreover, Sun Ying and Li Jiang were directly named. These two people didn't want to go, not for anything else, and they didn't want to take the second wife's money. In the end, the person who came was very polite and begged for a long time. Only 2 people followed. As soon as they left, a thin man got under Wen Yu's car. That evening, MRSG did not invite the Wen family over for dinner. Steward Wang directly brought the food, which meant that the Wen family could eat it in their own yard. It made the old lady so angry that she couldn't eat anything. The gloomy eyes glanced at her when Wen Yu wasn't paying attention. When Wen Yu heard that he was leaving the next day, he was a little surprised like his sisters, but didn't say anything. After returning to the house, he sneered. "Are you proud of being driven out?" At dawn the next day, the Wen family was ready to set off. MRSG didn't send anyone to see her off either. Old MRS Wen's heart felt cold. When she went to Beijing 6 months later, she could have been a guest of this prominent family, but in the end, she was ruined. Over the years, she had spoken too much, and was woken up by MRSG's slap. No matter how calm he was still worried about gains and losses, and he didn't speak all morning. After putting the things in the car, Wen Yu also got in the car. Suddenly, 2 servants from an unknown family passed by the Wen family's carriage carrying something in their arms. Somehow, he bumped into Li Zhang, who was packing the car. Li Zhang is very protective of things. He hurriedly checked to see if the car was damaged. The 2 men dropped their things on the floor, but he didn't even bother. The 2 people apologized quickly. Li Zhang looked at the car and saw that there was nothing wrong with the car, so he asked them to pay attention next time. Several people nearby, including Sun Ying, were also paying attention to this matter. So, no one noticed, a man approached the horse, took out something unknown, and fed it. As the car was about to start, old MRS Wen finally regained her composure and was polite to manager Wang, who got out of the car for a long time. Thanked her for taking care of her these days, and said that she had left a gift for her in the house, and then asked her to convey her gratitude to MRSG. Steward Wang responded lightly with a smile. "It's completely different from the enthusiasm when I came here." When we arrived, Wen Jiao was in the same car with the old lady. When we returned, we asked her to drive her out. At this moment, I am not in the mood to play the role of a kind grandmother. After the wheel turned, he let out a long sigh. The convoy left the town and went up the mountain road. After walking for a while, Li Zhang muttered in front, "Why are you so excited today? You haven't run for a few days and you want to have fun? Take it easy. We have to cross a ridge ahead. The road is dangerous, you know." "Hey. Yes, slow down. Go, walk steadily." Wen Yu and Sun Ying also heard it, but Li Zhang usually made a fuss, so everyone smiled and didn't take it seriously. After walking for a while, the situation happened in an instant. The horse suddenly started to sway left and right. Li Zhang said, "What are you doing? Be honest." But the horse was disobedient and began to run wildly. Li Zhang was shocked and quickly pulled the reins. "What are you doing? Stop! Stop!" He pulled the reins desperately. In the car, Wen Yu and others were shaking left and right, shocked. "What's wrong?" Li Zhang shouted, "The horse is disobedient and runs around." "Girl, hold on to the gangster, I'll go take a look." Sun Yingben was behind the cart. When he saw this, he whipped the donkey and tried to rush to the front. As soon as he reached the side of the car, the horse seemed unwilling to let him pass. It jumped and dodged, and with a crash, Li Zhang was thrown off. Sun Ying's donkey was separated from the carriage and almost squeezed off the road, and Li Zhang was almost trampled on. Li Zhang ignored his pain and got up to chase. "Hurry up!" The carriage, unattended, rushed forward. In front is Wu's car, the gentle carriage, close to the side of Wu's car, speeding past. Wu's face was full of excitement. This was even better than she originally thought. Wen Jiao was very nervous. "What's wrong? What's wrong?" Wen Su shouted, "It's eldest sister's car. Oh my God." Afterwards, someone immediately told MRS Wen. She opened the curtain and her mind came to her. She probably knew what was going on. "Oh, Mr. Wu, you really dare to take action. Watching the dust and smoke moving forward quickly, she summed up the pros and cons of this matter in her mind, and then concluded, this is not bad. MRSG's dissatisfaction can be alleviated for the most part. She might even feel guilty about it. Okay. As for what will happen to when you... is it girl you's car? Hurry. Go and save her, she shouted anxiously. The crazy carriage overtook another car and ran to the front. Sun Ying slaps the donkey and chases after him. At this time, he thought desperately, if nothing goes wrong this time, he must ask the girl to buy a horse. At this critical moment, he really can't count on a donkey. On the carriage, Wen said calmly, someone is trying to harm her. Yanzu held her tightly and said nothing. Xiaoji is small and heavy, but he sits the most steadily. Although he is nervous, he is calm. There was only Xiangshu, screaming all the way, she was not stupid. Although she didn't know what was going on, she must have come here for Wen Yu. I am really unlucky. The carriage is rushing up the mountain ridge. This section of the road is very dangerous. When you reach the ridge, you will either rush down and overturn the car, or fall off the cliff. Sun Ying hit the donkey hard, but he didn't dare to use too much force. Donkeys are different from horses. When they get anxious, they stomp in place and don't run away. Although the horse was crazy, it was still pulling the cart, several people and luggage. Especially, Xiaoji. When encountering an uphill again, the speed becomes slower. Sun Ying was experienced and took advantage of the gap. After a lot of effort, he was able to jump over and ran forward for a while. He turned over and jumped on the donkey, and his knee fell, causing great pain, but he ignored it. Stand in the middle of the road, ready to stop the car. The horse came puffing out hot air. He stepped forward and pulled, and the horse kicked and bumped hard. Sun Ying flew aside, but the reins were in his hands and did not let go. The carriage dragged him forward. Since he was standing on the outside of the horse subconsciously ran to the inside. Friction with the mountain next to it. Fortunately, the risk of falling off the outer cliff is small. We were about to go up the mountain ridge. At this moment, we heard a click and the axle of the axle broke. The wheels were hung on both sides of the carriage, and the horses dragged the carriage. The carriage rubbed against the ground and continued to reach the highest point. Sun Ying has been taken down and dragged on the ground. He has no strength to stand up and his body hurts from the rubbing. He pulled hard with all his strength. The horse was in severe pain. Normally, it would have stopped long ago. But now he is going crazy, shaking his head and running. Sun Ying is a little desperate and is going to be in trouble. But at this moment, a horse came galloping over, struck the horse's head with a knife, and held the reins with one hand. The horse fell down at the sound, the carriage turned sideways, and several girls fell out. Sun Ying ignored the worn flesh and blood. Girl, how are you? The horse came to the end and was not very fast. Although the carriage turned sideways, it did not fall too hard. When you fell, but felt no pain, and replied subconsciously, I'm fine. Zuzu. Xiaoji. How are you doing, Xiangshu? After saying this, I realized that I had fallen on Xiaoji again. Xiaoji grinned, but nothing happened. Yanzu fell down while sitting, causing pain in her lower back and buttocks. The heaviest thing was the fragrant book. The side of my face was choked on the ground. My right arm was in great pain. I didn't know if it was broken. I kept humming. Sun Ying felt relieved and saw that the person who came was the fourth son of the Qi family. The fourth young master Qi heard Wen Yu's reply and didn't come over to take a look. Instead, go straight to inspect the horse. Sun Ying also followed. The horse's eyes were red and there was foam around its mouth. Poisoned, Sun Ying blurted out, and then his mind recalled at lightning speed what part of the incident happened. Morning. The two men bumped into Li Zhang and scattered things all over the floor. This is not like what the Wen family did. If the Wen family wanted to do something, they wouldn't have to go to such trouble, right? Yet Si replied. Started checking the car again. The carriage rolled over and the axle was broken. But if you look carefully, you can still find, there are new huge marks on the broken axle, and it has also been tampered with. Chi Si and Sun Ying looked at each other and said nothing. Seeing the convoy chasing after him, Sun Ying walked over and muttered something to Wen Yu. Wen Yu smiled bitterly. What should we do? Two-pronged approach. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 99. As he was talking, Wu's car arrived. She lost her usual composure and hurriedly got out of the car, her heart pounding, not knowing what the outcome would be. Wen Jiao couldn't hide her excitement and followed closely behind. Wen Su sighed secretly that her eldest sister was so unlucky and got out of the car. You er, how are you? Wu shouted loudly as soon as she fell, showing great shock and worry. When I saw the overturned car, I thought happily, even if I am not dead, I am disabled. Better break that face. But when she looked around, she realized. Wen Yu was standing there smiling at her. Second aunt. Are you okay? Wu was so disappointed that her voice shrilled. Is everything okay? Why, second aunt, you still think I'm going to die or be crippled? Ah, how could it be? Wu's face turned cold involuntarily, and she didn't bother to act anymore. Who are your subordinates? How do they do their work? But really, something can happen. Don't you know how scared the old lady is? The second aunt, who was anxious for her niece's safety, suddenly disappeared. Old Mrs. Wen's car arrived. The situation was unknown and she was anxious. As soon as she got out of the car, someone said something to her. This life is really tough. You are. Where are you? She rushed over. Seeing Wen Yu, he grabbed him and said, are you okay? Great. But. Grandma was scared to death. The feeling of love is pouring out, and the eyes are red. Wen Yu looked frightened. You girl. If something goes wrong, how can I explain it to your father? As he said this, he glanced over there and saw Mr. Chi standing beside the carriage. She couldn't let him stand there. The one who ran over just now was Mr. Chi, right? Mr. Chi, she shouted. When you looked at old Mrs. Wen in shock, "You has made you worry." Grandma, look, the horse is crazy, the car is damaged, there are so many dangers on the mountain road, but you is fine. Is you serious? A blessed person. Listening to Wen Yu's words, which seemed to indicate something, Mrs. Wen could only nod her head. That's natural. How much luck can my eldest granddaughter be less lucky than me? As long as it's okay, just help the girl aside to rest, she ordered. Mother Song came up and said, "Girl, please sit here for a while." Old Mrs. Wen, Chi turned over from the other side. "Oh, you really are the fourth young master." The old lady immediately burst into tears of gratitude. "Thank you so much, fourth young master Chi, for your life-saving grace." "What can I say, old lady? Fortunately, you saved my granddaughter. I just said almost scared to death." Chi smiled lightly and said, "Old Mrs. Wen is too polite to come to the Chi family as a guest. The safety of the guests is also the Chi family's responsibility. Fourth young master Chi, you are so capable, you are also very considerate. I will also thank Mrs. very much when I look back. The road down there is easier to walk, don't worry, old lady." "Yes, Yes, this car is broken down and can't be used. Someone, please clean up the place and clear the road, put yours things in my car. Mr. Chi, I said, there are so many more people at once, I'm afraid the old lady will be a little crowded. I have already led the people back to drive. The carriage and the doctor will come in a while. The old lady can go forward slowly. After a while, Chi will the car in person. Will deliver Miss Wen safely. When Mrs. Wen heard this, her smile did not change and she said, that would be too much trouble for Mr. Chi. It is only right to leave as soon as possible. I don't know what the stupid woman did. It would be very serious to find out. However, as long as we leave, we will never recognize you again. It seems that the Chi family treats Wen Yu very well. How can? Wen Jiao stood there and looked around for a long time, but no one from Chi arrived. I was extremely disappointed. Also, although Chi is not as good as Chi Wu, his appearance is quite impressive. But he only directed the work and did not even look at the girl, himself, present. He also heard that he wanted to Wen Yu personally, and he felt even more mixed in his heart, feeling that everything was not going as he wished. Li Jiang ran over just now to see that Wen Yu was okay. Sitting on the side, sobbing and crying. After Mrs. Wen left, Chi and Sun Ying pointed their doubts at Wen Yu. Li Jiang also wiped his tears and came over. When he saw it clearly, he couldn't help shouting, this horse, was it poisoned by those two people when they hit me in the morning? Sun Ying nodded, according to the reaction time of this medicine, it is almost at that time. This huge mark should have been caused when we were separated yesterday. In a few words, he told them what Wu asked them to help yesterday said. Then, feeling a little embarrassed, he said, I'm sorry, Miss Wen, I was careless and derelict in my duty. Li Jiang also blamed himself terribly and fell to his knees, it's Li Jiang's fault, girl, please punish me. When you said to both of them gently, although you are at fault for being careless, let alone you, even I didn't expect to be dealt with like this. So, I don't blame you, just be careful in the future. But those two people, still looking ashamed. Furthermore, if you hadn't handled it properly, I might have died or been disabled. You were all injured. Okay, don't mention this. We must be careful in the future. Li Jiang, get up quickly. Thank you so much, fourth young master, for saving me when you saluted Chi Si. Chi Si said, Miss Wen, fortunately my fifth brother gave me a few words before he left. Otherwise, I really wouldn't be here. Regarding the matter of horses taking medicine, I will check it out when I get back. But I was laughing secretly in my heart, that boy, pretending to be serious. In fact, he is really protecting his wife. When you walked to the edge of the cliff and looked down, unable to see the bottom. If it really fell, all the people in the car would be dead or disabled. This time I really escaped from death, my life is not too bad. Sun Ying came over, the fourth master Chi and his subordinates have the same view. In these two places, it is not like a group of people, because there is no need. Moreover, it is precisely because the car broke down in advance, which delayed the uphill time, Chi only the fourth young master can rush to the rescue. If we rush directly to a high place, it will be really dangerous to go down again. This poison is of little use on ordinary days, so it cannot be bought everywhere. There aren't any in town either. The Wen family probably wouldn't have thought of this. Sun Ying continued his analysis. There's no need to go around in such a big circle, we've already started. When you nodded in approval. The axle should be Wu's handiwork. She knew about the Chi family's proposal, so she did it. But this medicine, probably must be Webster's. Beijing City, Zhenyuanhou Mansion Flower House. A woman in light brown embroidery with large flowers is pruning the flower branches. Her hair is shiny and smooth, and her complexion is delicate and rosy. There is always a faint smile on the corners of the mouth and eyes. As for her appearance, she wasn't that outstanding. Only her brown eyes gave her a quiet look. And her always leisurely and comfortable expression is particularly easy to make people like her. The sleeves are long and thin, and the hand holding the scissors is almost retracted inside. But if someone sees her, they will be a little surprised. She is obviously a wealthy old lady, but why does she have a pair of thick hands? After so many years, she has carefully nurtured these hands, and the calluses formed by hard work have long since receded. It's just that the fingers, which were slightly deformed due to excessive exertion, can't be cured no matter what. She was reminded all the time of the poverty and fear she had experienced. She looked at the potted flowers for a while, and then began to prune the branches. She also slowly cut off the branches with several buds. The girl next to her smiled and said, "Old madam, you are the only one in the whole capital who is good at raising flowers. But if others see you pruning branches, they will probably feel very distressed. You can cut off such beautiful budded branches wherever you ask. It's a pity for me to look at you." The woman smiled and said, "Only by pruning the branch in this way can the flowers bloom to their best condition. Otherwise, the nutrients will be dispersed and a lot of flowers will bloom, but none of them will be perfect. Madam Wisdom. Haha, I am just an illiterate woman, how can I be wise?" She never concealed her poor background. In the early years, when socializing among noble ladies, there would always be people who used different tricks to ridicule her and laugh at her. She never cared and even took the initiative to mention it herself. Finally, the embarrassment is someone else's. Now, she has a solid position in the circle of ladies in the capital, and no one mentions her anymore. "Old lady," someone came in and handed her a letter. She opened it herself and saw that she was not really illiterate. After looking at it, the smile faded slightly, the brows furrowed slightly, then quickly relaxed, and the smile appeared again. What a pity. Things didn't work out. This Kui family's life is not too bad. Haha, does she know that it was me who did it? I know, no one believes me when I say it, and they can't do anything to me. It's really interesting. Her smile actually had a hint of pride and sarcasm. End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 100. The Wen family and his party arrived home. Unexpectedly, Song Shang was at Wen's house, drinking and talking with Wen Feng. Hearing that the old lady was back, the two of them hurriedly welcomed her out. Wen Feng drank happily and his eyes were misty. There was curiosity on his face. "Mother, why did you come back early?" This question made the old lady very embarrassed. Ignoring him, he turned to Song Shang with an extremely kind attitude. "Brother Shang, why are you here?" "Song Shang, I have something I want to tell you." Old Mrs. Wen said, "Is it an emergency?" "There's no rush to leave, just take a rest first. Then you eat first, and I'll go back and freshen up first." Wu was in a bad mood, so she pretended to smile and said a few words to Wenfeng and Song Shang. Wenfeng looked at the bags under her eyes and waved her hand impatiently. "Go and do your work first." Song Shang didn't see Wen Yu's car. "You go in first, I'll wait for a while." Wenfeng didn't know what he was going to do, so he wandered back. After waiting for a long time, Wen Yu's car arrived. This is not her car. He has been busy recently, and later he found out that the Wen family went to Zanquan Villa. After analyzing the reasons for a long time, the Wen family is now going to decide on Wen Yu's marriage. The Qi family has two unmarried young masters. Although the two families have different family backgrounds, their shortcomings can be made up for by the language. When someone mentioned it, the old lady would definitely respond, secretly hating herself for being too careless. As soon as he received the news that Webster agreed to divorce, he ran to the Song family and waited. But he didn't know the situation of the Wen family this time. Wen Yu got out of the car and was stunned when he looked up and saw Song Shang. Song Shang asked, "Ayu, cousin, why are you here?" Wen Yu asked. "I have something I want to talk to the old lady about." He hesitated whether to talk to Wen Yu first. Wen Yu looked very unhappy. "I have something to do with my grandmother, cousin, go and do it. Just don't worry about me." After that, she turned around and left. "What's wrong with her? Look at Sun Ying and Li Zhang again. They all look bad and seem to be injured. Some of the girls even have their faces covered. What happened? Where are the Yanzu people?" he asked. Just as Xiaoji was about to speak, Li Zhang was there first. "Fifth master, we don't know anything." Song Shang stopped asking, turned around, and winked at the person next to him. The old lady returned to the house and freshened up. "I drank a cup of hot tea and sat quietly for a while. I haven't had this feeling of failure for so many years. Wen Yu, it's a good thing about the Qi family's marriage proposal, and it's also a disaster about being frightened on the mountain road. Why is it so noisy when you get to her place? I don't know what Wu did. Did anyone notice it? The feeling of not having control is really bad. No, we have to take care of Wen Yu's matter quickly." After a long while, she got up and came out and asked someone to invite Song Shang. Song Shang came in. "Auntie, sit down quickly. Is your mother okay?" "Mother is very good." Song Shang's face didn't look good either. When he found out that Wen Yu almost had an accident, he was so frightened that he broke out in cold sweats. He didn't have time to analyze the reason. Mrs. Wen saw that Song Wu was not smiling as usual, and her face was solemn. "Shang, is nothing wrong?" Song Wu was silent for a while. "Auntie, what I am about to say may be a bit abrupt. But at the moment, my mind is so disturbed that I can't think of a better way, so I want to apologize to you first. Please don't blame me if I am inappropriate." When he said this, Mrs. Wen was shocked and did not dare to agree rashly. "Shang, after so many years, you have become mature, steady, smart and capable. My aunt is well aware of how much you have helped the Wen family. Why would you say anything rude? Just say it. You should still discuss it with Ayu first. It's just that he was a little afraid that she wouldn't respond. If I am rejected, I am afraid that I will never be able to do anything else." So he gritted his teeth. "Auntie." He stood up and slowly knelt down. Mrs. Wen was startled, quickly got out of her seat, and pulled him hard. "What are you doing? Get up. Is there anything you can't say properly?" Song Wu stood up, sweating on his forehead. "Me, I like Wen Yu, I want to guard her for the rest of my life." "Wen Yu?" The old lady was shocked. "Why was it Wen Yu again?" "At the moment, I couldn't think of anything else, I just cursed secretly. What a monster this is." Yes, old Mrs. Wen's face darkened. She turned and sat down, turned her face to one side, and said lightly, "Keep her for the rest of her life. Do you want her to be your concubine?" "No, Webster and I have decided to separate." "Helly, with Webster?" "Yes. After my mother's birthday party, I sent her back to her parents' home. I just received the letter and she agreed to divorce." "Nonsense," old Mrs. Wen was anxious. "This is absolutely crazy. The Wei family, are you easy to mess with? You married her Wei Xianjiao and had a daughter, and divorced her. Do families like ours reconcile or divorce their wives? I fought with the dead old man. I haven't reconciled in my whole life. You are so shameless." "Auntie, let Song Shang say something outrageous. Are you happy in this life?" "Happiness, having children and grandchildren, status and property, that's happiness. You don't understand this, Song Shang. Could it be that I have misjudged you after so many years? I don't know what you think of me, although power, status and wealth are important, being able to spend a lifetime with the person you love is fundamental." "Nonsense, You really me off, old Mrs. Wen was confused and shouted. Is it because that girl Wen Yu is so good? How did she escape that disaster? I didn't want to get married to the Wei family in the first place. I'm afraid she had no better choice at the time, so she married me. Haha. This is funny. Whose husband is the ideal? Whose wife is the ideal? The foundation of marriage is to be well matched and support each other. Song Shang did not answer her words. After she came in, I also wanted to have a good life with her. But in the end, we still couldn't get along. Although Wei she seemed to care about me, in her heart, she also looked down on my background. Old Mrs. Wen was speechless. She still doesn't know that Webster's eyes are higher than the top. A few days ago, I even said something to myself out of nowhere. Now it seems that you know this? Think about it carefully. No. I don't even know about this. Auntie, Au is the woman that I have longed for. Will you make it happen? You reconciled with the Wei family, turned around and married your cousin. Throwing the Wei family's face to the ground. You have done things well these years. Do you think you can have nothing to worry about? Songwoo said in a low voice, I don't underestimate the Wei family. But they can't underestimate me either. Webster's acceptance means that she has figured it out. Auntie, I can't reconcile for nothing. Sunyo he killed many people in the Wei family. Does your mother know? I didn't say it clearly, or she would have guessed it. That's ridiculous, the old lady shouted angrily. In the garden, Webster was sitting under a tree. Today she was wearing a green silk dress with a large group of peonies embroidered on it. The round fan in her hand is embroidered with 2 butterflies. Opposite her, a man in his 20s was sitting, looking at her dreamily. The man is thinking, he is no longer the poor classmate of her eldest brother. There is no need to hide in the corner anymore, looking at her crazily but not daring to go up and talk to her. He was not a tragic man who got drunk and was heartbroken when he found out she was married. Now, he was born second in the college entrance examination and was valued by his elders. His life was like riding on a firecracker and ascending to the sky. This time I am on a business trip and will also participate in the celebration of Tianlong Temple. Even Webster's eldest brother must be respectful to him. King Wu was 1,000 years old, so he went out of his way to meet with him alone. Now, the person whom I miss so much is sitting right in front of me. The holes in my heart were filled one by one. Suddenly, someone came from outside. Sir. His eyes were still looking at the beautiful woman, and he responded in a deep voice, come in. The voice was gentle, but the superior person's style was sufficient. The visitor knelt down on one leg and delivered a letter. He opened it and took a quick look, frowning slightly. Webster asked slowly, didn't it work? Yes. It was done, but it didn't work. Chijia Si Lang was nearby and rescued her. Her car broke down before it could reach the ridge and rolled over on the road. What a coincidence. If it hadn't been broken, it would probably have been lost. Go down. There was a stern look in Webster's eyes. Is this all okay? What a good life. Ew, when a cat catches a mouse, it doesn't mean he kills it with one bite. Don't be impatient. I'm not in a hurry. If it doesn't work, I have a way to do it. She was still so arrogant, and her words seemed to mean something. The man said gently, don't worry while I do my work. After you are done with the Song family, you can go to Beijing and I will wait for you there. Okay, I'll listen to you. Her smile made the flowers in the whole garden lose their color. 100 chapters. Thank you all friends for your company, affirmation, rewards and various votes. Comments, corrections, criticisms, etc. are also very beautiful. End of this chapter.